Good evening. I'm Harry Keeling, and on behalf of Alaska Public Media and the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation, welcome to Hangar Flying. Tonight, our guest is Bart Stone. Bart was on last time. I've known Bart for many years. He's a very, very experienced Alaska aviator, and he's a great instructor. And he's agreed to come on, and here we are in August, and here we are in hunting season, and here we are in the most dangerous month of the year. So it's good to have Bart back on. Welcome.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
So let's pick up where we were talking last time. When you come into a potential landing spot, talk about how you evaluate that for.
Well, first of all, if you're current and you're all set to go operate off a smaller area than what you normally would do, is if you look your sight over, you know, it's nice to do a high pass about 1,000 feet above it, and then come back down, decide where, when you're doing your high pass 1,000 feet above it, decide where your approaches are going to be from either end and where your departures are going to be, and ask the what if I have problems? What if the aircraft starts running rough at takeoff? Is there a out? Is there a meadow or something I can put it into off the end of the strip? You drop down about 200 feet, look at the strip a little bit closer, and what you would notice is that the rocks that appeared small at 1,000 feet are now huge. So as you keep coming down lower and lower in elevation, you'll see that the rocks are getting bigger and bigger, unless of course you've been into the strip before. So another low pass at 200 feet, a timing pass. I wouldn't do a timing pass at high altitude because you could have a little inversion layer, whatever, but once you do your timing pass, look at the strip over, stay at the standard, just a set speed, like let's say 60 miles an hour or something like that, just both ways, time it, use your GPS, that'll help you determine distances, and then as you're timing it and running down it, just fly to the side of the strip so you can see it at all times, because every time you fly by the strip, you should learn something about it. If you just come barreling in there and plop it down, you haven't really looked at the strip as you should. You should look at the strip every time, upwind, downwind, and make sure, reassure yourself that it's a good decision you're making to land there.
So do you roll your wheels or not, or sometimes?
Usually not. I don't usually roll the wheels because I'm looking for telltale signs like, you know, is there mud? If there's a lot of mud conditions and the runway's wet, I might roll my wheels, but if it's a dry runway, I won't roll my wheels per se like that, because I've determined usually at a couple of my low passes that it's safe. But if it's a wet runway, if it's got big puddles in the middle of the runway, absolutely. Because if you have puddles standing in the runway or something like that, which we can have in August and September here with the rains, that can pull you off of your direction just quick as a blink, and you're off in the tules, and then got to call in a helicopter to get you out of there.
So earlier, I think maybe it was last week, there's a picture on the front page of the newspaper of two 206s over on their nose on a pretty popular beach area. Any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, you know, if you're going to land, if you land safely, you should just come to a stop and get out and walk, because landing in any surface that's not a proven airport, you don't know what's 10 feet ahead of you or 15 feet to the right of you. So the best thing is to stop, get out, and walk ahead of yourself. Dig your heels in, scrape the dirt, so at least when you get back in the cockpit, you can see where you walked and it's safe, and you've proved that area out. So people that go up on their nose on a beach like that, and I operate off that beach quite a few times, maybe they didn't quite look to see where they were going, because it can grab you, you know, and especially if you're moving at a high speed, higher than normal speed, you should just be moving at a really slow walk anytime you're taxiing on beaches like that.
I want to get you on one more time, because there's a couple other questions I want to ask you. And maybe we We've got about a minute left. Some of the questions I'm going to ask are pretty basic, but I also want to acknowledge that some of our viewers out there are varying levels of skill and experience. I want to ask a question that might seem kind of naive. How important is airspeed control in an off-airport short field landing?
Well, to me, it's critical. Like in a, if you want to fly at, say, 1.3 VSO and make your approach, you should be plus or minus easily within a limit of 3 knots plus or 3 knots minus, or 3 miles an hour or 3 miles plus or minus. You've got to be right on your airspeed control. And what really tends to get people in trouble is they move from one type of aircraft to another type of aircraft, and like some aircraft are forgiving, like in a Cub. If you're a little bit fast, you just pull off the power. Maybe if you're 5 or 7 miles an hour fast, you just pull off the power and the aircraft will pretty much stop. That's not true with a Husky or a Scout. Your landing areas will be extended tremendously, or a mall or anything else like that. But each aircraft has its specific airspeed that you should operate at on the short field areas.
Okay. Hey, Bart, we've run out of time. I want to get you on one more time.
Okay.
We've got a couple more questions for you. Appreciate you being on tonight.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed tonight's program. Get Bart on one more time to talk about off-airport operations and some considerations you ought to be thinking about. Until then, fly safe.
Bye-bye.